When we talk about great inventors of the 19th century, names like Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, and Nikola Tesla often dominate the conversation. These men are celebrated as geniuses who shaped the modern world with their groundbreaking inventions. But behind these famous names, there were other brilliant minds, often overlooked, who made vital contributions that turned dreams into reality. One such figure is Lewis Howard Latimer, a man born into poverty, born to parents who had escaped slavery, and who rose to become one of the most important yet underappreciated inventors of his time. Latimer was not only a self-taught draftsman, but also a pioneer in electrical engineering, a skilled patent consultant, an advocate for civil rights, and a role model for resilience and perseverance. Latimer's life story is extraordinary. From enlisting in the Union Navy at just 16 years old during the Civil War, to working alongside Alexander Graham Bell in developing the telephone, to collaborating with Thomas Edison on perfecting the incandescent light bulb. His achievements, particularly his improvements in carbon filament technology, made electric lighting practical for ordinary people and transformed cities across the world. Yet, despite his monumental impact, his name is not as widely recognized as it should be. In this documentary-style article, we will explore the full life of Lewis Howard Latimer, his early struggles, his career breakthroughs, his groundbreaking inventions, and his enduring legacy. By the end, you'll see why Latimer deserves to stand proudly among the giants of science and innovation. Lewis Howard Latimer was born on September 4, 1848, in Chelsea, Massachusetts. His parents, George and Rebecca Latimer, were formerly enslaved people from Virginia who had bravely escaped bondage. Their escape itself became a landmark case in the fight against slavery, drawing attention from abolitionists across the country. Growing up, Lewis faced the harsh reality of racial prejudice in 19th century America. Opportunities for African Americans were extremely limited. Despite these challenges, Latimer's childhood was marked by curiosity, determination, and a desire to learn. Formal schooling was almost non-existent for young Lewis. But he had something far more valuable, an insatiable hunger for knowledge. He would sketch, draw, and observe the mechanical workings of everyday objects. This natural inclination toward design and invention would later become the cornerstone of his remarkable career. At the age of 16, Latimer enlisted in the Union Navy during the American Civil War. He served aboard the USS Massasoit, a steam-powered gunboat. His time in the Navy gave him exposure to discipline, machinery, and engineering, experiences that would deeply influence his path. But what truly set Latimer apart was what he did after the war. With no money for college and no access to elite institutions, Latimer taught himself mechanical drawing and drafting. He studied textbooks, practiced endlessly, and developed such mastery that he would soon be recognized as one of the finest draftsmen of his time. Latimer's self-taught skills led him to an opportunity that would change his life. He applied for a position at the Crosby and Gould Patent Law Office in Boston. Initially, he was hired as an office boy, running errands and doing small tasks. But Latimer's talent did not go unnoticed. He would spend his spare time sketching, drawing, and imitating the work of the draftsmen in the office. Eventually, one of the partners recognized his potential and promoted him to the role of draftsman. This was a turning point. In the late 19th century, patents were at the heart of America's industrial revolution. To secure a patent, inventors needed precise, technical drawings that clearly conveyed their designs. Latimer quickly became a master patent draftsman, creating technical illustrations that were not only accurate but also elegant. His new role exposed him to inventors, engineers, and lawyers, giving him a front-row seat to the explosion of innovation happening in America. In 1876, Latimer's drafting skills played a direct role in one of the most important inventions in history, the telephone. Alexander Graham Bell, then an ambitious young inventor, was racing against others, most notably Elisha Gray, to secure the patent for the telephone. Bell needed precise drawings of his device, and he turned to Lewis Latimer for help. Latimer produced the technical drawings that were submitted to the patent office, drawings that proved essential in Bell's victory to secure the telephone patent. Without Latimer's expertise, the history of telecommunications might have been very different. But Latimer's role was not limited to drawing. He also worked on improving the transmitter of the telephone, making the transmission of sound clearer and more efficient. His work contributed to making the telephone a practical and revolutionary tool that would eventually connect the world. If his work on the telephone wasn't enough, Latimer went on to make perhaps his most significant contribution to humanity, improving the incandescent light bulb. When Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, it was a revolutionary concept, but there was a problem. Early bulbs were inefficient, fragile, and short-lived. The filaments burned out quickly, making them impractical for widespread use. Latimer, working with Hiram S. Maxim and later Thomas Edison, developed a new process for manufacturing carbon filaments. His 1882 patent described a method of creating longer-lasting filaments, which made bulbs more durable, reliable, and inexpensive to produce. This breakthrough was critical. By making electric lighting practical and affordable, Latimer helped pave the way for the electrification of cities, transforming daily life, industry, and society. Streets became safer, businesses could operate longer hours, and homes were illuminated without the dangers of gas lamps or candles. Latimer's expertise made him an invaluable member of Edison's team, and in 1890, he joined the Edison Pioneers, an elite group of Edison's closest collaborators. Notably, Latimer was the only African-American member of this prestigious group. Inventions of his own. While Latimer is most often remembered for his contributions to Bell and Edison, he was also an inventor in his own right. Throughout his career, he secured several patents, including an improved method for making carbon filaments, 1882. A water closet, toilet, for railroad cars, 1874. An apparatus for cooling and disinfecting rooms, essentially an early form of air conditioning. Locking rack for hats and coats. These inventions highlight his ability to see everyday problems and design practical solutions. Latimer was not only a technical genius but also a visionary who cared about improving quality of life. Latimer's impact went beyond technology. He was a passionate advocate for education and civil rights. He believed that access to knowledge was the key to progress, especially for African Americans facing systemic discrimination. In 1890, he wrote a book titled Incandescent Electric Lighting, a practical description of the Edison system. This was one of the earliest technical manuals on electric lighting and demonstrated his mastery of the subject. He also taught mechanical drawing and inspired younger generations of black engineers and inventors. For Latimer, science and education were tools for empowerment and equality. Latimer married Mary Wilson Lewis in 1873, and together they had 2 daughters. Despite the demands of his career, he remained a devoted family man. He was also a talented poet, musician, and painter, a man of both science and art. In his later years, Latimer continued to advocate for technology and education. He remained active in professional and community organizations, using his platform to encourage young people to pursue careers in science and engineering. On December 11, 1928, Lewis Howard Latimer passed away in Flushing, Queens, New York, at the age of 80. Lewis Latimer's story is more than a biography, it is a lesson in perseverance, resilience, and the power of education. Despite being born in a society that sought to limit him, he rose to become one of the most important contributors to the modern world. Without Latimer, the electric light bulb might not have been mass-producible. Without Latimer, the telephone might not have been patented in time. Without Latimer, many of the everyday conveniences we take for granted might have taken longer to reach us.